Welcome back to the Ninth Circle with your host, Bill. Tonight we're here to discuss the first in a series called Attack of the Clones, which are bands that base their entire sound, their entire identity on a pre-existing band. So tonight we're going to talk about a couple clones of Hellhammer. Yes, this is the Demon Entrails that collects 2 Hellhammer demos, but not what we're listening to, though. But this is another band that I would say is influenced by Hellhammer, though not a clone. What we're listening to right now is Barathrum, Eerie, the second Barathrum record released in 1995. This is a Nuclear War Now reissue. Barathrum were a Finnish black metal band, kind of considered black metal doom hybrid, which one could definitely say draws heavy inspiration from Hellhammer and very early Celtic Frost. So Barathrum, Eerie, that's what we're listening to. Very good stuff. But anyway, back to Hellhammer here. So Hellhammer, of course, if you don't know, the Swiss band that predated Celtic Frost or Celtic Frost, whichever you prefer. Largely the same members. They only released one EP, the Apokalyptic Raids EP. Like I said, these demos were released much, much later. They're, like I said, this Demon Entrails that has there is a February 3rd, 4th, and 7th, 1983, and then also the Triumph of Death and Death Fiend demos that were recorded June 10th and June 11th, 1983. The first one on here is called the Satanic Rites demo. So this is all the stuff that just easily kind of predated Apokalyptic Raids. So, anyway, Hellhammer was a super primitive, kind of like proto-Black Death doom band. Very primitive, simple riffs, basically very slow. I mean, you know, it was like the guys had been barely playing their instruments for, you know, a few months to maybe a year before they started recording stuff as Hellhammer. Tom G. Warrior, of course, had like disowned it for a long, long time, but in recent years he's come around to the idea of Hellhammer being a good and influential band and has been playing Hellhammer stuff as well as old Celtic Frost stuff and Triumph of Death, which is kind of like basically almost like an all-star lineup of, you know, people he's worked with on Triptychon and stuff, you know, basically touring old Celtic Frost and Hellhammer material. But anyway, so there are several bands, and this is only scratching the surface of bands that worship at the altar of Hellhammer. So the first band I'm going to talk about is this band, Warhammer. They are a German band. I have 2 albums here from them. I'm going to put that one down. That's a different band. So, Doom Messiah is the 3rd record by Warhammer. This is a High Roller reissue here. And then this is Death Christ, the 2nd album by Warhammer. So both those records, Warhammer's specific MO is to worship to be as faithful of a cover band, if you will, almost, or in style to Hellhammer as is possible, all the way down to having the same gear, as many of the same pedals, as much stuff as they could possibly find to sound exactly like Hellhammer. So, like I said, we'll go with the 2nd record here. I'll show you a little bit. This is reissue. It's on yellow. Just give you a little view here. Yellow record there. But, so, both of these records are they are stunning clones of Hellhammer. I mean, in a blind taste test, it might almost be hard to tell. Like, basically, this band it's like Civil War reenactment, where they have basically they write their own material, but they basically have taken Hellhammer riffs and rejiggered them into their own songs, like kind of just sort of rearrange some of the chords. So it's, you know, the vocals, straight up Tom G. Warrior impersonation, dead on. Dead on. So, are these guys bringing anything new to the style at all? No, they're not. This is straight up as much of an approximation of Hellhammer as you're going to hear. Now, they're enjoyable. If you love Hellhammer and you're like, man, I wish there was more than just those demos and a few studio recorded songs, then this is your bread and butter. I mean, it sounds, the production values, the guitar tone, the vocals, the drumming, it all sounds dead on to Hellhammer. Dead on. I mean, I like these records, but again, it's really a band that's for diehards only. I mean, really, you have to love Hellhammer, I think, to come back and listen to those records and not just feel like, why am I listening to a carbon copy of a band that broke up over 40 years ago? That brings us to another Hellhammer band, another Hellhammer worship band. This is Apokalyptic Raids. This is their most recent record, The Pentagram. This was released in 2018 on Hell's Headbangers. This band is from Brazil. They have also been around for a long time. There's the back cover there with the band members. Also like Hellhammer, a 3-piece. Also like Warhammer, a 3-piece. Now I will say with this band, while their Hellhammer worship is strong, like the guitar tone, of course, is a dead on Hellhammer worship. The vocals sometimes go into that territory, but I do also hear there's a lot of that classic 80s Brazilian kind of like proto-death thrash sound going on in this band. You know, you can definitely hear that early Sarcophago. You can definitely hear, you know, early Sepultura in here at times as well. They get a little faster. They speed it up a bit. It's not totally slow and doomy. You know, though the riffs are primitive and crushing, the vocals sometimes, like I said, sound a little bit more like a Brazilian band, a little less like a Tom G. Warrior clone. But that's definitely present on some of the songs. Especially, I felt like on side 2, I felt like was more so that way, like the songs like Letter from Lucifer and Keep My Grave Open. It felt like those were like very Hellhammer sounding tracks. But this, I got more enjoyment out of this record. This was one, like, I'll come back to this, you know? It's not like, if you aren't the world's biggest Hellhammer fan, you could enjoy this as well. Like I said, you could probably, like I said, if you like all the early, like the mid and late 80s Brazilian scene, this record would definitely hit the spot as well. So, though there are some, you know, strong elements of that copycat style, they do bring some other flavors to the buffet, if you will. So, ultimately, are either of these bands mandatory? No, they're not. I mean, they're not. Neither one of them are doing anything new. I mean, I would say Warhammer is really exists. I mean, for the sole purpose of mimicking Hellhammer to the best of their ability, to the extreme. This, like I said, it has other flavors added to it, but it's all rooted in that kind of classic 80s style, so it harkens back to a time of more primitive and basic, urgent, lo-fi metal. Styles I love, and I enjoy these records, but like I said, they probably are more for, they're not gonna make you put away the old classics and forget how great those records are. So, in the grand scheme of things, I would say, I would rate all this in this series. It's going to be leave it in the dustbin, or stealing a little bit from First 7-Inch Club, or buy it at a discount price, or pay full price. With this, I'm going to say buy it at a discount price. Like, it's good stuff, but it's not mandatory, and I wouldn't pay top dollar for it. That Apokalyptic Raids, I got in one of those Hell's Headbangers 5 for 75 things, so for the price I paid for it, I feel like it was worth it. Now, would I pay $20, $25 for it? No. Same thing with Warhammer too. I mean, they, you know, not absolutely necessary, but. So that's my little dissertation on a handful of Hellhammer clones. But if you have not, if you're younger, newer to the scene, haven't listened to Hellhammer, haven't listened to these demos or Apocalyptic Raids, do yourself a favor and go back and kind of hear the roots of where extreme metal comes from, because really they are one of the seminal bands for creating black metal, death metal, you know, and you know, any hybrid in between. You know, they're you know, they're mandatory. So do yourself a favor and go back and check them out. So that's all I've got for you tonight. So I will see you again in the Ninth Circle.